Hello aquaponics enthusiasts, today a video that is a bit different. We're going to talk about homemade fish food, and if you're a bit sensible, don't like to see insects, this video is definitely not for you. But if you want to change the world, if you want to produce sustainable food, and if you want to produce homemade food, this is definitely a video that you want to watch. So if you watch a few of my videos, you know that I am not aligned with the way we are producing food, but even the way we are dealing with our environment as humans doesn't really make much sense to me. You know, I live in Melbourne, Australia, and when I see people, when they walk the dog, if the dog has to poop, people collect the poop and collect it in a plastic bag, and they put this dog waste into a plastic bag and they throw it in the bin. That's completely nonsense to me, right? There are plenty of things we do. We are the only species that is doing its business into drinkable water. It doesn't make any sense, right? There are a lot of things we are doing that don't make sense, and we produce pollution from something that could be the source of life, right? That's what we are seeing in our aquaponic system. We recycle the fish waste to produce some plants. We can do the exact same thing with human waste to produce some trees, you know, fruit trees. They can be produced from this human waste. So I'm not here to offer you dry toilets, even if I think they are a fantastic solution. I know that if you live in the city, it's not very practical at the moment, and I'm sure in the next years we're going to see a lot of development in this area. But what I'm here to talk about today is to talk about the production of food for our fish. So I already made some videos about duckweeds. If you have vegetarian fish or fish that can eat greens, then duckweed is perfect in aquaponics because we can produce it in big quantity and we can feed our fish with. But if you have some fish that are predators, such as I have behind me, you know, I have trouts. Trouts, they like to eat other fish, they like to eat meat, they like to eat insects, they like to eat living creatures, but they don't like to eat greens. So I'm not able to feed them with fish food that I produce myself from duckweeds or from greens, right? So what most of us are doing is to use fish food that is designed for aquaculture. Unfortunately, this fish food has a big impact on the planet, right? This fish food is produced from vegetable proteins, but also from fish meal. Fish meal, there are lipids inside that are very important, very healthy. There are proteins as well that are very healthy for the fish. And so there are some work to try to increase the part of plants inside this diet and decrease the part of animal proteins, but it's still at very early age, and the fish are really designed to eat. They are predators. It's like a lion. You know, you don't want to give lettuce to the lion. It doesn't make sense. Well, that's the same thing. When we are growing trouts, we need to give them some animal proteins. So in this video today, what I propose you is to go through a project that I am putting in place to try to produce some insects to feed our fish. So there are some insects around the world that are already grown, and some have a very high potential, such as black soldier. I don't know if you ever heard about the black soldier fly, but that's a fly that can spawn where you can collect the larvae and feed your fish with. It's excellent. The only problem of the black soldier fly, it's not a problem, but it's a challenge if you live in an area like me. Right now it's 10 degrees where I live. This morning, very early, it was 0 degrees. So you can imagine the black soldier fly is a tropical fly, so it needs an environment around 25 degrees Celsius. So we are not going to heat a room to produce insects to then feed the fish, right? For me, it doesn't make much sense. I want something that is sustainable, adapted to the environment where I live. So I looked around and I played with different things. I already played with earthworms. They can be good, but they are a bit tricky for me to harvest and everything. Recently I thought, okay, why don't I try with normal flies? You know, the flies that are living in our environment. They are everywhere around the planet. Why don't we try to work with them, you know, make them spawn on some substance, and then let the larvae grow and harvest the larvae, and then feed the fish with. So that's the experiment I have been doing. Obviously, very early stage. It's not automatized. I'm still learning and seeing what would be the best option, the best way to do it. You know, the important challenge here is to have something that is clean, doesn't smell too much. You won't have it, you know, not too far from your home, so it has to be okay from a smell perspective, and you don't want to create more flies than there are in the natural environment, you know, because if it's close to your house, you don't want it to attract or to create more flies, because flies are never good. They are normal in the environment at normal density, but if you have a lot of them, that's a problem, right? You don't want that. It's got this connotation of being dirty, so you don't want to grow flies and have a lot of flies around your house. So that's what I have been doing. You know, I go spearfishing, and I often come back with fish. Even the fish I grow here, sometimes I raise the fillets. So when I raise the fillets, I have some waste. I have the head, I have the column bone, and I understand that some people eat the head and eat the whole fish, and that's perfect if you do that. But very often we have leftovers, right? So the idea is to have the less waste possible when we consume our proteins. It can be fish, it can be meat, it can be anything. What I'm saying is that when you have waste, what I do when I go fishing and I come back with the fish, I keep the head, I keep whatever waste I have, and I freeze it. And the idea I have worked until now was that I take the fish from the ocean, I consume what I can from the fish, so I consume the maximum. Very often I consume the head as well, but not all the time, and I have waste. This waste, instead of putting it in the bin, and then it goes into the waste system, which is really, really bad. There is no area on the planet that is good. You know, if you rely on the society to collect your waste, you know it's going to be burnt. Really, the way we are dealing with our waste is really bad. So try to minimize it as much as possible. So for myself, I take it from the ocean. I consume what I can, and the rest I freeze, and when I go back to the ocean, I release it back in the ocean. So then the crabs, you know, all the animals in the ocean, the fish can eat it and they can grow from it. So that's always, you know, the idea we have in aquaponics. But now I try to use this because obviously it takes space in my freezer. And I was like, maybe I can do something with it. So I tried to grow fly larvae from it. So what I did, I took some of this waste, which is basically fish, and sometimes you can do it with meat if you eat meat. I put it outside, exposed to the air. Right now, as I said, the temperature is very low in Melbourne because it's winter, but if it works in winter, it will work in summer, obviously, because the number of flies in winter is very low, right? So I exposed those waste to the normal air, and some fly came and they spawned on it. It's hardly visible, but you can see it if you look very closely to the fish waste. You can often see some white dots. That's basically the fly eggs. Then I placed those into a container, and I added, because I got chicken, and I got chicken manure. And chicken manure is perfect for the garden. And you can add it to this bucket where you have your fish waste with the fly eggs. I put it together, and the fly eggs, that's crazy how quickly they can consume the fish. And then they consume the chicken manure as well. So they are transforming all this into insect proteins. And now I am harvesting them and I am feeding them to my fish. And that's just so amazing, the quantity of fish food you can produce with a waste, you know. And I think again, that's just one example, you know, it's one waste. But as I said before, as humans, we go to the toilet and we poo into drinkable water. Doesn't make any sense. When we do that, we generate even more pollution, while we could just separate the human waste and produce some food with it, you know, fruit trees that would be perfect to grow on it. Anyway, that's not the purpose of this video. Here I just want to show you how you can produce some fish food for your own fish. For me it's perfect because, again, it's sustainable. From an economic perspective, you know, it's free fish food. Wow, that's perfect. You can grow some fish for free. It's very good for the planet, and your fish will love it because this fish food is not dry, right? That's real fish food that is alive, full of vitamins, full of protein, so perfect for your fish. So I started with this type of system, which is, you see, just a bucket, a plastic container, let's say. With inside I have some waste. So there was a waste here, to be honest, is scallops waste and abalone's waste. I clean them, and here I have the waste in the bucket. You see it's exposed. I put it in a sunny area, and you see all the fly are coming and they eat. Oh, they don't really eat actually, they spawn really on this waste. So now I have the eggs, and from the eggs I will add in this little container some chicken manure. And the chicken waste is also high in protein, so the fly larvae love it and they grow very quickly into it. So maybe 1 week or 10 days later, I can see that I got them at the good size, and I don't want them to escape. So what I do, I place them into, I use Haitian fabric. I place the whole thing into Haitian fabric and I hang it on top of a bucket. So then, once the fly larvae are large enough and they want to escape to transform to a fly, they will try to get away from from the inside of this bag, and they will fall into the bucket, and that's where we can harvest them very easily. So I had this bucket for the whole night, and now we're going to see behind if the fly larvae fell down into the bucket. And you see they are clean, there is no dirt, nothing with it. I'm going to transfer those larvae here into this bucket and then there, because it's going to be easier to feed the fish. So we got the end, we got the bottom of a bucket, and we still have plenty inside the big bucket and also inside the bag. So, you know, I guess I will produce more in the next few days. So this one, plenty of larvae left inside, but I will give it to the chicken. They will be super happy. I have to share with the chicken as well, right? So here we are. We got this fish pellet, guys. Fantastic. Not fish pellet. This fish food is fantastic, full of protein. Compared to this fish food is convenient, right? That's the fish food that I give to my trouts. This one is expensive, is not sustainable. This one is free. super sustainable and better for the trout because it's healthier. So now, because I'm starting to feed the trout with this, what I will do, I will call them to come eating with this. So they come to the surface, and then I will give them the fly larvae. Let's see how it goes. I will put the GoPro on as well so we can see what's happening inside the water. We can see that there are some leftovers inside. You see, inside the bucket, we still have plenty of them. So I could just put some water inside and give it to the fish, right? But I feel that those chickens here, they will be super happy to eat it. So look at it, how they will go inside. As you can see, they are quite happy with this arrangement. So what I am doing now, I am putting things back as they were before, because hopefully in this bag we still have plenty of them. So, you know, I guess just some are just too young, too small. So once they are ready, they will fall. And so maybe tomorrow I can have a new harvest. Hopefully as many as we had today, maybe not as many, but we'll see. And we'll see how many days we can do that. But yeah, that's the idea. I'll leave it as is. We'll see what I can harvest with this. But I think it's really good. So obviously the system is not the best. We can do much better than that. But at the moment, that's what I'm working with. Obviously, at the end of this experiment, after a few iterations, few prototypes, I hope I will come with a nice box and we can do something properly without having something that is a bit very experimental. But the idea is here, you know, we produce some nice fish food and it works. So the chicken had a nice meal, and obviously here's what we have from this waste. So that's a good thing, you know, if you can transform the waste into some nice food, and that's 100% organic, very healthy, very sustainable. Everything is local, you know, we don't transport anything. That's the idea. So as I said, I am just experimenting at the moment. I know that many people are trying this around the planet. If you're new to aquaponics, you don't have to do it, right? You can just use some normal dry fish food pellets and it's going to work perfectly. But for me, I want to go always one step further, as I said before, and I want to be as sustainable as possible. So I'm not saying that I'm going to produce 100% of the fish food, but if I can at least have 30–50% of the fish food that I use, I will be produced at home, that would be perfect, and especially it's completely free. Amazing idea. So if you are doing this at the moment, leave a comment. I know that people are already doing it around the planet, not especially for the fish, can be for the chicken, can be for a lot of things. So, you know, it's a really good way to recycle some waste that you can have. So the system at the moment is just a prototype. It's not even a prototype, right? I'm just experimenting, really. I know that we can do things much better and more efficient even. The idea, again, the challenge is you want something that doesn't smell, that doesn't attract other other animals such as mice or rats. You don't want to attract them, obviously. You want something that is easy to use, and that's it. That's the three requirements that we really need to have with our fly larvae system. So if you came up with something, with a good idea, please share. It can be on this channel, it can be on your channel, it can be any video, any article. I think we have many things to do on this specific topic. It's such a good way to produce some food. So we need to close the cycle, we need to talk together. Everybody, if you're doing something interesting, please share with the community. And by the way, last weekend I went free diving, and at the end of this video I want to show you that I met some dolphins, and it was amazing. So I have a very short footage and I will put it at the end of this video. I want to share it with you because I think that's something that is gonna give you some good vibrations. So if you are interested by aquaponics, you are really welcome to get the free aquaponics training from the description of this video. It's a 6-step training to help you to build your own aquaponics system and to manage it in the best way possible, respecting the critical ratio that we need to understand in aquaponics. If you want to learn more about aquaponics, I recommend you to go on the website Aquaponics Revolution and to subscribe to this channel. I will see you on the next video, but right now stay on because I want to show you the dolphin. See you then. Don't forget to get your free gift from this screen. You can also leave me a comment below the video, subscribe to the channel and see my last video. I really hope to see you soon, and I wish you a fantastic success with aquaponics. Have a good crop!